Hello everyone, welcome to DEBRA's Health and Welfare webinar today. We're trying something a little bit different, so I hope that you will really enjoy this conversation between our DEBRA member Paula and Rosie Jones, who's a specialist paediatric dietitian for EB from Birmingham Children's Hospital. So over to you, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Rosie. It's
Hello,
nice to meet
Paula.
you, albeit virtually. Sophie asked me to sort of talk with you about nutrition from a particularly seasonal point of view. Although, ironically, today in London, at least, it's lovely and sunny and mild.
Yeah, I can see blue. I can see blue sky as well.
But I suppose that sort of made me a bit curious, actually, as to whether or not there were specific things that were helpful for people with all types of EB from a seasonal point of view. I don't know if your sort of dietary requirements maybe change at different times of the year. Maybe you could tell us.
I think the main thing would be the vitamin D, particularly in this country, in that between sort of October and April, Easter time, the angle of the sun is such that the strength isn't strong enough to convert the vitamin D in our skin. So we're no longer able to synthesize our own, even if we were able to sunbathe. So it's important for everybody to take oral vitamin D supplements throughout those months. So from sort of October until Easter, really. So the standard dose for most people is around 400 international units a day, or that's often written down as 10 micrograms. So, but some people might be advised higher doses by their medical teams.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the main thing for the winter. But my sort of thoughts a little bit were that I think people's eating patterns are perhaps a bit different in the winter, or in the autumn. You tend to think about more perhaps stews or casseroles or those things, or perhaps less salad, and maybe less availability for fresh fruit and vegetables, maybe, or the ones that perhaps people are used to having during the summer. So it was those sort of things I thought it might be interesting to talk about. I don't know whether you find that your eating habits change during the winter.
I tend to eat the same things pretty much every day. I'm a bit of a creature of habit, so not so much, but I do understand that's not normal, not particularly normal. Can I just ask you, what does vitamin D do? Why is it important? Is it particularly important for people with EB, or is it just generally a good idea to have it, whatever?
It's for everybody. So vitamin D is important for helping our bones keep strong. It's part of a matrix to make up our the minerals, the calcium and vitamin D and proteins make a bit of like a matrix within our bone structure. And as we know, our bones are always breaking down and turning over. So they're always busy doing this. So we need vitamin D all the time. It is a fat soluble vitamin, so our body can store it. So it is possible to store what it needs, but it needs a regular intake. It's also been linked with immunity and general good health and immunity. So it's important for that. So it's important for everybody. But some people with EB don't expose their skin to the sun anyway. Obviously, we all have to be careful about that. But also, if you're not able perhaps to pound when you're walking, and put those pounding steps down. Some people struggle a little bit with that and maybe shuffle a little bit more. So your bones are not getting that, what we call bone loading, to help build up the strength. So that's why I think people with EB need to take a little bit more attention to it and make sure they do take it regularly.
Yeah.
If you struggle to take it daily, you can have a weekly dose if that makes life easier for people.
Right. So you can take a sort of slightly higher dose once a week.
Yes.
I certainly don't pound anywhere. It's not. I think I probably have quite a recognisable EB gait, so not so much pounding. So I sort of take that point. And I suppose if you've got lots of dressings on, even if you are out in the summer months, you might not get so much exposure to sunlight.
Yeah.
Is it better to take it with particular foods, or is it something you can take anytime, anywhere?
You can take it pretty much any time. There's no links been identified not to take it at particular times. It is a fat soluble vitamin, so it's better absorbed with fatty foods, say like milk or with your meals.
Okay.
But not really, just taking it is the important thing.
Yeah, I tend to have mine immediately after my breakfast, which has quite a lot of thick Greek style yogurt in. So I'm guessing that's.
Yeah. I really don't think there's a big difference when you take it.
Okay. Good to know. And I suppose when you said about fancying things like stews and soups and things, I was immediately thinking, that sort of alarm bells going off, because from my point of view, hot food can be a bit risky, and I tend to find that stews and soups and things tend to come in a sort of scalding form, and I'm always a bit wary of things like that.
So do you prefer cooler foods, do you?
Absolutely. And I think it wasn't until I was well into my adult years I didn't drink hot drinks either, because and I just need to be careful about, when you sort of take that first sip and you're not sure about what the temperature is on that first spoonful.
Yes.
It's a real risk for just getting a mouthful of blisters. So, I'm a bit cautious of.
Perhaps what I'm more thinking about is maybe those slower cooking methods. Of casserole stew using your slow cooker can be helpful, particularly with protein foods, to help maybe enable people to have perhaps a little bit more meat in their diet.
Right.
Slower cooked meats tend to perhaps need a little bit less chewing, and perhaps I would like to think that enables people to get a bit more of those sort of foods in their diet, and you could add maybe pulses to that, get your root vegetables in for some fiber. And
sounds good. Maybe I just need to be more patient and not just go straight in and let it cool down.
Perhaps if you cooked it first and then you warm it up to the temperature that would suit you. But I do think, and also I think with those sort of foods, using a slow cooker or a casserole, you could perhaps make several meals at the same time.
Yeah.
And then have things in the freezer that are ready and easy to access. And perhaps on days people are not feeling so great, or when you're under time pressure.
Yeah.
Certainly for parents with children, perhaps as well, and perhaps having emergency meals in the freezer that they know they are soft enough for them to eat on most occasions. That can be really useful. So I do think doing sort of a bit of batch cooking, if you can, is a really good idea. And people might find sort of chopping a little bit difficult. I don't know if you've got a mini chopper, but I think they are amazing. Do several onions at a time, or your carrots and everything. Just chuck them in there, save using a knife and chopping. And I think that can be really helpful. And with a slow cooker, you can put things in a bit bigger because it got more time to break down. So there would be less chopping involved with that.
That's a good idea. Really good idea. Because some days not great for standing up at the worktop or for holding knives and tools and things. So I guess sort of batch cooking is a really good way of getting around that for days when you're perhaps less able. That's really good. I eat everything. I'm quite omnivorous, but my life has been changed by some really good friends of ours gifted some beans by the Bold Bean Company. And I've seen that actually they've started popping up on cookery shows and in supermarkets. It's quite a distinctive brand of bean that are cooked in jars, and they are so tasty. But they're also, I guess, a really helpful source of protein and fibre, aren't they?
Do you mean things generally, like the chickpeas and those sort of beans?
Beans,
yes.
Red beans, black beans.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they're really good source. They're good soft source of protein.
Yeah.
They get you fibre and also the micronutrients as well. And they're quite cheap, aren't they? And they're, again, a store cupboard staple. They would freeze well, they'd reheat well. So they are a really good thing. The other thing, coming back to sort of textures and proteins, I think it's also worth remembering that marinating and salt and things do help to break down structure
Okay.
and soften food. So for meat, marinating your meat the day before, I think is a really useful tip. It does soften the texture and help to maintain the juices. So things like that, I think, are also useful tips.
Yeah. Just one more thing on the beans, which I'm quite evangelical about, is they make a fantastic mash as an alternative to potato, which is a really delicious alternative.
That's great, and obviously gives you a lot of extra nutrients in that.
Yeah.
You can make like your own hummus as well, can't you? With whatever. Well, you can do it with chickpeas. It doesn't have to be chickpeas, does it? You can use the other beans. Put some beetroots in there. You'll get some antioxidants in there. So that's useful. And or you can. I mean, some people, if you didn't want to have it sort of spicy or garlicky, you can just make it a pate.
Yeah, nice.
And put the flavors of the spices that you do like in.
Yeah. Is protein particularly important? I mean, everyone's talking about protein and fibre. They sort of come together, don't they? But a lot of people are sort of promoting protein. Is it particularly pertinent?
Protein is, it is essential for us. At sort of an average, 20% of an adult body is made up of protein.
Gosh.
And it's a nutrient that your body, so sort of protein is made up of peptides and amino acids, and it is used for building a sort of muscle and bone, hair and skin and collagen. And if you think of those things, your body is breaking them down and repair and maintenance. They aren't built and stay like that. They're obviously being turned over and maintained. So your body's always busy doing that. You also need protein for synthesizing enzymes and hormones and antibodies within the body. And again, there's something your body's continually doing. Proteins carry hemoglobin around in the blood to oxygenate it, and also immunoglobulins to help us fight infections.
Right.
And your muscle is a protein. And obviously, every time that works to create movement, that's important. And also, if you haven't got enough energy from carbohydrates or fat, your body is going to use your protein for energy. Right. So it's also can be a protein source for people. So it's really important to have it regularly. Yeah. And I say it's made up of amino acids, and there's 21 amino acids, and there's 9 of them described as essential amino acids that your body can't make. So you have to eat those in your food.
Right.
Yeah. The other ones your body can make, so it'll break down, use the essential ones to make the other ones that it needs. Yeah. So it's important to have all of these within your diet. So there's different foods that give you protein, aren't there? So you've got your meats and your fish, your dairy, your nuts. And if you're a vegetarian, then obviously you wouldn't be eating your meats and your fish. So you'd want to use your pulses or the tofu or corn, quinoa, all of those foods. But they don't all contain all the amino acids you need. So the meat's a very good source, like what we call quality protein.
Right.
So if you're not eating meat, you have to have a good range of all the others to get your essential amino acids. So grains and rice, perhaps mixed together, and your grains and your seeds and your dairy. So a good variety of those foods to get everything you need.
Yeah. So it sounds like protein's probably, I mean, it's important for everyone, obviously, but for people with EB who are having to sort of worry about wound healing and
that's right,
replacement and
so the needs would be slightly increased, as you say, for the wound healing. But also if you're losing fluid in your blisters, some of that fluid, what we call exudate, will have some proteins in it. Right. So you need more for your wound healing, but you could also be losing some that your body already has. So it is important to have a bit extra. And I think we'd probably say, depending on your wounds and your healing and the number of blisters, between 115 and maybe up to 200% of requirements for the general population.
Gosh.
So it does sort of correspond to the skin.
Yeah. Gosh, that's quite a lot, isn't it? Because I know from my own point of view, if my feet are really sore, I tend not to drink so much, because getting up and going to the toilet more regularly is problematic. So I tend to dehydrate myself, which is counterproductive, obviously.
I think the general population struggle to drink enough. I really do.
Yeah.
And from a sort of pediatric perspective, children in school, they often go through the school day not drinking enough, and adults at work as well. I think sometimes people are quite sensitive for what toilet facilities they want to use,
Yeah.
and perhaps don't drink as much as they want to, just because they don't know where they're going to want to be able to go to the toilet, or it won't be the familiar environment. So we all need to drink a bit more, I think.
Yeah.
And I think
sorry,
I was going to say, in the winter, when you don't feel like a cold drink, and if you're perhaps not great with hot drinks, it's probably very easy to drink a lot less, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Is water like your go-to, would you say?
I think water is the best in the sense that there's no harm in it, but fluid is fluid, so just get it in. And the main thing is obviously protecting your teeth, isn't it? And so I'm very strict in clinic about fizzy drinks and sugary drinks, because it's so important to look after the teeth. But that's for everybody, not just people with EB. But cleaning your teeth can be even harder, can't it?
Yeah.
So, but green tea is quite popular at the moment and will help with the antioxidants. Coffee, tea, any fluid really. And if you struggle with
even a glass of wine, Rosie,
why not?
Or is that completely
not? Why not? Obviously, alcohol can be dehydrating if you have too much, but the odd glass of wine, I mean, it can stimulate appetite and help you eat a little bit more, taken at the right time. So I'm not averse to anyone having a little tipple.
No, good. Can I ask a very selfish question, but maybe helpful to other people, about this question about inflammation? Are there any foods or sort of overall diets that you know can help reduce the level of inflammation?
So it's an area of great interest, isn't it, at the moment, and particularly with the E in EB. We haven't at the moment got great evidence for EB, but we do know that foods can provide antioxidants, the polyphenols, omega-3s, that can help the body to fight inflammation. So it's two-pronged in the sense that you want to reduce your intake of processed foods that will provide the free radicals, and then increase your intake of the foods that provide the antioxidants. So that's the berries, cherries, strawberries, blueberries, and frozen ones are fine. The polyphenols are preserved well by being frozen. So in the winter, if you can't have your fresh berries, go for the frozen ones and make them into a crumble smoothie. Put them in your porridge. Overnight oats, plenty of ways to use those. Oranges are seasonal in the winter, aren't they? And so they are a good source again. Your green leafy vegetables, your kale, your broccoli, spinach, they're really good, containing the antioxidants and the polyphenols. The things are your fatty, oily fish, so salmon, sardines, mackerel. If they're not readily available, do use tinned, because they can be sitting on the shelf. Open them up and they're ready to use. If you don't like them as they are, they make a great fish pate. Make your own, would be really nutritious. And give a lot of good nutrition. Again, more protein in there, zinc source as well. And then nuts, they're another good use. So on their own or as an oil, a nut oil. Ground nuts also can be really useful. Say added to your porridge or your overnight oats. Some ground nuts in there. Or if you're baking, replace perhaps a bit of the flour with some ground nuts. That can be a good use of getting some in. Spices, people have seen turmeric being quite popular lately. Ginger shots, those are all good providers. Rosemary is another herb, and that's again something you could use those spices in your cooking in a slow cooker in a casserole or something a bit more spicy. You can get those in the winter. Cinnamon, actually, it's obviously a seasonal spice. So using cinnamon in a drink, in a cake, in again, a lot of oats, porridge oats, overnight oats. People like to have some cinnamon in, don't they? And then you've got the probiotics that you could have in natural yogurt, or kefir is a current trend, but you don't have to buy the latest trend expensive foods. You can get it in your diet another way. As we talked about, green tea, black coffee is also known to be a good source of the polyphenols. And then the fermented foods, they can also be a really good source, the kimchi and things like that, if they're to your taste. Oh yes, chocolate. The very dark chocolate. The 70%, the dark chocolate, or the cocoa powder. So not averse to a bit of that.
Of course, there's a bit of a hedonist, me asking you questions about can I drink wine and can I eat chocolate? So it's like nutritionist sanctioned naughtiness.
Well, it makes change for me. Obviously used to paediatrics, so
I do have to be a bit careful about chocolate. If I've got blisters in my mouth, it clings to the wounds and it's really painful. Likewise,
but you can use your cocoa powder or melt it into a little pudding or something like that.
No, very good. Is there anything else you wanted to say to us?
We talked about the fluids, haven't we? Again, I can't stress that enough. The proteins, I think we've got through most of that. I don't know if you find particular challenges with cooking and food prep. Do you find anything like that
I think
challenging?
Sort of standing and chopping, certain sort of actions with my hand, like holding a knife or stirring or something, that's a bit of an issue sometimes.
So I don't know if you've got a mini chopper. I invested in one because I tend to get a bit of arthritis in my wrist, and honestly, it's been life-changing for me. I find it really helpful to just blitz anything. And if I'm making a soup, forget chopping things with the knife, just blitz them in there, put everything in. I do find that really helpful.
I'm going to put one on my Christmas list.
Yeah, and it speeds up the cooking. So you can get various. You can get ones the handheld, but a little plug-in. I think they are really, really helpful. And you can do a couple of onions straight off, and then you can put your carrots in or something else, and without washing it up in between, and just keep going. And chopping up herbs as well to make them nice and soft, and it can reduce the cooking time if they're chopped up nice and small.
Sounds excellent. Yeah, very good.
Do you like soups?
I do, but it's not something I make a lot of. As I say, I'm sort of a bit temperature wary. I think that's probably about our
That's our time up, isn't it?
Yeah.